Welcome to another interview with one of our Funna traders. Today, our Funna trader, Christian, is with us. Congratulations, Christian, on your payout. I can't wait to hear your story. But before that, thank you for accepting our offer and coming here. How are you today?
Yeah, good, thanks. How are you?
I am good. Thank you so much. Let's dive right into it and start learning by your trading journey. How did this whole journey start? When did you first hear about trading?
God, it was a few years ago now. Trading for about 3 years, and a really close friend of mine was starting to trade. And initially, I wrote it off. I didn't think that it was anything that I'd find interesting. And over time, he stuck with it for however long, maybe a year or so. And I started to see him make a little bit of cash, lose a little bit of cash, and it kind of made me interested. He told me that you can make $1,000 in a day, but you could also lose $1,000 in a day. So that got me thinking, and that was kind of the main thing that I can really remember.
That's actually amazing, which is kind of true when it comes to trading. You can lose it in like 5 seconds and
Yeah,
get it back
plenty.
again in 5 seconds. It's a crazy roller coaster. So I definitely hear it. And where were you from and how old are you?
So I'm 29 and I'm from Australia.
And did you learn how to trade by yourself or this friend of yours helped you out?
Yeah, initially he helped me out. We we kind of have different trading systems. So even though we do talk a lot, psychology is like very important to us. That's the only kind of thing we can kind of bounce ideas off each other. Or initially, um, most of our journey, yeah, he trade more high time frame type stuff, and I trade. I'm more of a scalper. I'm rarely in the market for more than an hour.
Oh, that's actually nice. But since he was trading a higher time frame than yours, did you also start trading like him too? Or when you got right into it, you were like, no, I'm not gonna do that, and then start building your own thing.
Yeah, I think I used to listen to a lot of trading podcasts, and someone that I looked up to, like like kind of like an online mentor on YouTube. He said that he was a scalper and he was impatient and he wanted to, be in and out of the market quickly. And I guess as soon as I heard that, I kind of adopted that, and that's is something that I've just continued my whole journey.
I understand that. It's acceptable, I think. And is trading all you do during the day, or do you have another full-time job?
Yeah, I work full time, and one day I'd like to quit, have freedom. I think that's why a lot of us are doing this. But yeah, my days are pretty busy. I wake up at 6:30 in the morning. I work for 8.5 hours, and there's about an hour of travel in between, and then trading, and then looking after yourself. Either side of all that, yeah, it's pretty full on.
And how do you find time to trade?
I just have to make it really. I guess there's a little bit of sacrifice. I spend less time doing things that I would prefer to, but I guess at the end of the day, I do really enjoy trading and I'm passionate. So I'm more than happy to kind of give up the time.
I actually like to hear this because a lot of traders that I talk to, and by this time I have talked to a lot of traders,
I'm
and
sure.
the ones that have full time jobs during the day, they all say the same thing. I find the time to trade. Like, even if
Yeah.
they live in Europe and they don't have any time to trade the London session or the New York session, they just stay up all night trading the Asian session. And I guess when you want something, you just make times like happen, like out of time comes from
Yeah.
nothing, and it's just crazy to me. And can you tell us some of the stories in your trading journey which were quite important to you, which you can call, oh, that was actually a key moment in my trading journey?
Yeah. Okay. I think everyone likes to hear about blowing accounts. When I was beginning the journey, I think I got like a tax return. Like in our country, I don't know if you guys have it over there, but the government will give you extra taxes that you've paid. And I took all that cash. It might have been $6,000 at the time, and I put that all into a trading account. And then within 3 months, I think I actually gained maybe 20, 30% on the account. And I thought I've made it. I understand trading. I'm never going to go into drawdown. I'm never going to be one of those traders. And then I encountered a losing streak. And then my psychology was just all over the place. And I ended up over leveraging, trading like crazy, and ended up blowing the account.
It's actually crazy. And how did you put that money back again?
I didn't, I lost it, and at the time I wasn't really making too much money either. It was literally all the money that I had, and I think that I was just prepared to go broke for trading because, I see this as something that's going to be able to give me the freedom that I want in my life. So
Oh,
I'm prepared to do whatever it takes.
I understand it. When did you first meet with prop firms? Because you just said that you started trading with your own money. So when
Yeah.
did this whole prop journey start?
Um, Maybe half a year after that episode is when I first discovered it. I think I discovered FTMO and then a few others, and eventually I found that funding pips had the best conditions for me and my style.
Oh, I like to hear that. Like, I will ask you about your experience in funding pips, but later in the
Sure.
interview, I would love to hear about this. And would you say that you are a profitable trader? I know profitability is like a subjective topic, but do you
Mm.
think you are profitable?
I mean, look, if I'm going to be honest, I don't. Maybe now I'm kind of about even in terms of how much money I've put in versus how much money I've gotten out, total profitability. In terms of funding pips, like only with you guys, the amount that I've invested, I am profitable. But I'm not going to claim that I am overall just yet. But I think that I will soon. I think that maybe in the next month or two, a few more payouts, I'll definitely be profitable overall, which is I'm looking forward to.
That's great. I think honesty is quite important because if you called yourself profitable, even if you weren't, if you look at the whole picture, that would like we would just say, "Oh yeah, he is profitable. That's nice. Like
Yeah,
we're happy for him." But you would be
yeah.
lying to yourself, and I appreciate you did not lie. And
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well,
honesty
I mean,
is
I don't want to sell people. I don't want to sell people on that it's easy. It's actually extremely difficult. And the amount of nights that I've been so frustrated, wanted to quit. Like even these days, if I lose a trade, sometimes I'm like, why am I putting myself through this? It's so painful, so frustrating. So that's just the harsh reality of it, I guess.
I know, but do you think at the end the price is worth all of the sacrifice?
I'd like to think so. Yeah. I mean, maybe if you talk to me after I'd had a losing streak, maybe I'd have a different answer. But I mean, so far, I mean, you've seen some of my trading results. I've been very consistent for the last month or so. I haven't had a losing day, so things have been real good.
Oh, that's nice. You were talking about like a losing streak. Can you tell us a time that you were in a losing streak and like what was the hardest thing in that losing streak and how did you overcome that feeling?
Hardest thing was probably incurring a losing streak when I didn't trust my strategy and I just didn't have enough time, experience, enough back testing with that one particular strategy. For the past year, I've probably stuck to almost the exact same model over and over and over, and that's given me a lot of confidence. And I don't think since I've started doing that, I've had more than 5 losses in a row. If I'm executing it correctly. In the past, I've probably blown multiple accounts just one after another. But that probably wasn't following a strategy. It was just getting emotional, getting frustrated, wanting to get as funded as quick as possible, kind of thing. So, yeah, I think if you know your statistics, which I do, you should kind of be able to project how much you should be failing, how much money you should be able to make.
Oh, so you just see how your backtest results are, and then you prepare yourself for the real market emotionally or maybe mentally, and then get into it. And that's how you prepare yourself to trading.
Yeah, that's correct. I think that the confidence comes from all the study that I do. And I really do think that the more that you put into this game, the more that you're going to get out. I know that personally, my strategy, I hit about like 1 to 3 risk to reward at about 40 to 50%. And so I know I've done the maths. I know that like worst case scenario, I should make X, best case scenario, I should make Y. And then I kind of, average that out. And generally my trading performance shows that.
Oh, that's actually great to hear because in the end, if you trust your strategy or you trust that everything is going to go according to the plan that you've built yourself in your back tests, then yeah, you're right. You should be mentally uh, comfortable, to keep this game going because, like you said, it's quite hard to keep this game going,
Yeah.
especially if you're in a losing streak. But you just mentioned that you're not experiencing more than 5%, five losing streaks if you
No.
execute your strategy correctly, right?
Yeah, I use this it's a formula, and it's called risk of ruin. I think you can find it on on FX book, or maybe it's called my FX book. And it's just a formula where you can put in your strategy's win rate and risk to reward, and then it'll count. You can put it in for say 100 trades, and it will calculate the likelihood of you hitting 10% drawdown, for example. And I know, for example, that my strategy only has like a 2% chance of blowing the account. So they're the kind of metrics that I go off. So it gives me a lot of confidence.
That's actually great to hear, and something that a lot of traders can benefit from. So I hope the
I hope
viewers
so.
has noted that website. It's actually crazy. Was there a point in your journey that you thought to yourself, "Okay, I'm going to make this work. It's going to happen. This is going to be my breakthrough." And what was it like? And when was it actually?
As soon as I heard that you could make $1,000 in a day, I was sitting there. I'm thinking I'm stacking pallets and shelves for 8 hours a day. I'm sweating. I'm hating it, and I'm making $200. And I can make five times that just sitting in my room. Like I'll do whatever it takes.
But that was the beginning confidence. It's not a full confidence. It's like the inside of this confidence is just empty. I'm not talking about that part, but like the
Mm,
part where you have studied enough and you started
yep.
making actual money and you were like, I'm gonna make this happen. Did you experience a moment like this?
I mean, to be honest, I'm still kind of, waiting for, am I going to have a big losing streak? Am I going to blow everything? So I'm very cautious. I'm just trying to make sure that I always stick to my rules. I think maybe if I have another 6 months or a year of profitability that's been consistent, and I've, pulled 100, 200% on an account, or like a personal account, then maybe I'll start to really, really have that confidence that, I've made it. But, until then, things are going very well. And I am, not to say that I'm not confident. I am.
It's really great because I like when I see an honest trader, because it doesn't matter if you're honest with others, or if you lied to others, or if you lie to your environment. But the thing is that I think you are being honest to yourself, and yeah, that's a nice point of view from a mental point of view,
Yeah, I appreciate
because
that.
yeah, because when you think about it, you said that you draw the statistics, and the probability of you blowing an account is like 2%. So yeah,
Yeah,
trust that and then move on, rinse and repeat. So I definitely understand that. Now that you mentioned your strategy, I have a last question for you before I ask more about it. Do you
sure.
think backtesting is more important, or just getting into the real market and then experiencing it with small amounts is just more important? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, there's always a debate between the technicals and the psychology. I do think that psychology is a very, very important part of the game. Like, you're not going to go anywhere because, I was pretty much given a good strategy in the beginning, and I was making money, but then I blew the account because my psychology wasn't there. So I think that you do really need to focus on both. And I think that if you're a serious trader and you have been studying a little bit, you should hopefully you should know that.
Oh, I see that. I'm sure our viewers would love to know more about your strategy or how you look at the chart. So, if possible, can you show us some of your trades that you took while getting your payouts?
Yeah, sure. You ready for me to share now?
Yes.
Yep. All right. So this was a GU trade that I took yesterday. I follow a lot of concepts that a lot of other people use. Some people call it ICT, some people call it smart money concepts. Basically, I'm looking to catch reversals at high time frame levels. I like a change of character or market structure shift that I indicate with this arrow. I like liquidity being swept that triggers me into the trade, and I'm always looking to target liquidity, whether it's at the end of the range, or maybe I'm targeting an imbalance or something like that. That. Hopefully, that's a little bit of a breakdown for my strategy. If
Yeah,
you'd
it
like another
looks fine.
setup,
It looks fine. Very understandable so far.
um, this is actually, if I can, where is it? Just one. This one just here. I actually took this one just today, and it just hit my TP just before we got on the call. And so this was a similar one. We have
Crazy.
the higher time frame level here, and we had my market structure shift. and I got tapped in. We swept liquidity and we pumped up and we took this double top here. So I was pretty happy with that one. I was actually getting a little bit anxious that we wouldn't actually hit TP before I got on the call.
That looks actually crazy. And it's the New York session, so maybe you also have another setups on your mind, and then maybe going to trade during the day.
Yeah, we'll see how
Crazy.
we go.
Yeah.
I've got to be up in 7 hours or so for work. So maybe if I see something beautiful that's a textbook setup, I'll take it. But yeah, I might go to bed. We'll see how we go.
And where do you start actually? You take a trade during the day, and if it hits TP, is it your point where you say yourself, okay, I'm going to stop now, it's enough profit? Or if like
Yeah, generally, if I win one trade, I will stop. I generally try not to get greedy, as I've had issues with that in the past. Probably the main issue that I'm finding these days is that I struggle to go to bed after I take a loss. So I'll normally keep trading until I eventually get a win, which is a bad habit because if you just keep losing, it's you'll just keep adding up the losses. So far, the last month, I haven't had any losses, but I'm waiting for that day that I do have to hang it up and go to bed. So we'll see how we go.
oh, I definitely understand that feeling. You talk a lot about psychology, and how do you keep that in check actually?
So I do like a bit of meditation, a bit of breathing, and I actually have started seeing a psychologist just to try to keep me a little bit more in check, and just something I'll share that I think is quite cool. We were discussing a way to basically get your baseline a little bit lower so that you're a little bit more calm when you're in a high stress environment of taking a trade. And he mentioned this thing called the dive mammalian response. Basically, we're mammals, like animals, such as like humans. If we are cold, like say we're in underwater, our heart rate and our breathing rate drops. And so generally before I start trading, I'll do my meditation and I'll jump in the shower and like really just cool myself down so that when I get on the charts, I'm in the best possible state of mind to perform.
That's crazy, actually, and a very nice advice. Thank you for that.
Cool.
Do you have any other trades marked up on your trading view to show us, or
Yeah, I've actually got a loss. If people would like to see, I took this loss today.
I would love to see it.
Yeah. So on AU, I was looking at it was more of a support setup, and that's the thing, right? I normally don't actually take support type setups. So I was looking for a liquidity grab. So all this liquidity to be swept. This was London Open. I was expecting a reversal, and then I got in on I think the break of a 3 minute candle. Yeah, just here. And then I was expecting price to pump up and take out this triple top here and hit the order block just there. So it went into profit quite nicely. I actually should have moved my stop to break even, but I chose not to. And then I let it retrace and actually take me out for a full 1% loss, which is not fun.
Oh, losses are not quite fun, actually. And how do you recover from your losses mentally?
I think it's just experience, really. Um, yeah, I'd say just experience.
Because when you
Yeah,
are getting ready to trade, you said you are meditating and then doing all kinds of things. So I was wondering, like, how do you deal with the losses? Because, like beginner traders or traders who haven't decided on a strategy yet, that's the thing that they suffer the most, like to deal with the losses emotionally.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I was wondering
yeah,
if
for
you
sure.
had. Oh
Like
yeah.
any tips? I mean, I think that you just need to go through the pain. Eventually, if you take a loss and you allow yourself to do something stupid after that, and you make more losses, I think that's when you probably need to put a rule in place. Stop yourself from, maybe you only risk 1% per day, and if you're trading one trade with 1% risk and you take a loss, like you have to be done for the day. Because I think that every time you do take a loss, it compromises you mentally. I feel like it intoxicates you, and the more losses you take, the more you get into a frenzy, and you just want to keep trading and make it back, and then eventually it just keeps getting worse because you just can't think straight. You're not taking the strategy that you've been studying, and it kind of goes all out the window. So I think, yeah, setting rules is probably the best way to go.
Oh yeah, that's actually a great advice. So, because I was thinking, some of the things that you say, you sound like a trader who is quite into the mental part of trading. So
For sure.
even more than your strategy or how you look at the charts, I am genuinely curious about how you maintain this mentality and how you got to this point, which is quite insane. Because when I look at your payouts, right now in the screen, our viewers will see two of your payouts, but you had five with us so far.
Yeah,
And
I've had a couple. Yeah.
exactly, it's crazy because with funding pips, as I see, it's very consistent. And when I look at your account, I see that every trading day that you took has closed in a profit, which is
Yeah.
quite interesting. This is
Yeah. Look.
literally interesting because your win rate can show like 40%, 50%. But when I look at the charts, I see that every trading day has resulted in a positive result. This is crazy. How do you maintain this uh, pace? Is that, if that's the right word, how do you maintain this pace?
Yeah, look, I think there is a bit of luck on my side at the moment. I definitely don't always trade like this. It has been the last month, and I think maybe it's been what 7 or 8 trading days over that period. Um, I definitely do take losses. It's just my wins are bigger than my losses, and I generally take 1 to 3 trades a day. So if I'm losing a trade, I'll lose one or about $1,000, and if I win, then I'll make 3,000. So I can afford to lose a couple of times and win once and still be profitable. And I think that's what's carried me over to being profitable every single day so far.
That's actually crazy. Do you have any advice to other traders out there who are just starting their trading journey? Imagine that they don't know anything, just saw your
Yeah,
interview and they decided, if this guy's doing, maybe I can do it as well, because it's
yeah.
crazy. He was new and then now he's making thousands of dollars. So, what would you advise to those traders?
Probably the best advice is to keep the strategy simple. Pick a strategy that you can find that you can backtest and it works for you. Get maybe 30, 50 back tests. It might take a little bit of time in the beginning, but the time that you put in initially, it will be worth it. Um, when you're in the live markets, try to make sure that you execute that strategy that you've tested, perfectly or as close to perfect as possible. And then ideally, what you want to be doing is collecting the data on that. Maybe you want another 30 trades. Statistically, that's a good number. So after you've got the 30, you can review yourself. And I think that's where a lot of traders missing. They're wanting to win, they're wanting to make money, they're not wanting to take losses, and they just trade and trade and trade. And then they have this transcript of all these trades that they don't really know exactly what they did. And so it's kind of like, how can you actually improve if you don't have a record of all your trades? And I think that a lot of people go overboard with their journaling. They sit down and they have entry price, stop price. I felt this way. I did this and that today. Like, just there's so many unnecessary bits and pieces in the journaling. I think that you need to find a way to make it consistent, so you're actually going to do it, and then make it more complex from there. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, it's a game of consistency. And once you've got those 30 trades, you can see what your weak points are. You can see what works and what doesn't, and then you can hopefully refine it from there. And I think that like even a really good profitable trader can make money with a really really average strategy that's not impressive at all. That's 1-to-1 risk to reward. I really don't think that it is the strategy at the end of the day. Of course, a good strategy can allow you to make more money, but you can give a trader who's just starting out the best strategy, but they just won't be able to make money.
That's actually a great advice. And something you said has just clicked in me. So I will ask you one more question about it. You said that backtesting should not include some of the unnecessary details about
Yeah.
the trade.
Yeah.
And what do you think it should include? And what do you include in your back, like journals?
So my journals, I like to have maybe 2 or 3 screenshots, maybe a screenshot of the daily chart, a screenshot of the high time frame, maybe like the 1 hour, the 4 hour, because I use both of those for Confluence, and then uh, uh, a screenshot of your like an entry time frame. So for me, that's the 5 minute. So I'll have 2 or 3 screenshots, and I'll copy the TradingView link, or I'll put them into a document or Notion, Excel, whatever it is, and then I'll basically just put my thoughts down. And I think that if you're a trader who's been doing it you should, like, long enough, and you actually understand your strategy, you should just be able to look at a chart and of your previous trades and kind of know whether you followed your plan or not, whether you broke your rules, what you're thinking. Because I feel like the trades definitely leave a bit of like uh, an emotional indent, for lack of a better word, because like you're putting your emotions and your money on the line every time you do take a trade. And for me personally, I don't need to write so much about it. And I've just found that even though I am someone who likes to collect a lot of data, I just don't have the motivation to sit there and to type up a whole page every single time that I trade. And I think that a lot of people do that, and then they end up not recording anything at all. So I think that you just should find a way that you can be consistent.
Oh, that's actually great. That's actually good because um I don't know if you realize, but you are actually mentioning a point in human psychology that triggers a consistent action, which is why a lot of trainers, people who do a lot of sports or who train a lot, would say just start small and start with something that you can stick to so that you don't quit doing it, and
Yeah.
it actually motivates consistency. So you have discovered something quite nice. Maybe I'm not sure
Well,
if you intended to, but it's
no,
great
I mean,
that you
funny.
discovered that.
Yeah, yeah, I'll keep that in mind. Thank you.
Oh, it's actually great. As a successful trader, I have asked you about your advices to beginners. So, what would you advise to traders who started learning more about the markets, who got some courses, and who are currently studying but cannot find that profitability yet? What would you advise to those traders? What are they doing wrong that they couldn't reach profitability yet?
I think that it's the same thing with a beginner. It's just you need to just stick to the same strategy and collect the data on it. 30 trades. I mean, I think that at the end of the day, if you can't stick to the same strategy for 30 trades, then something's really wrong with the psychology, and you need to fix that. Because if you sit down and you actually implement a strategy those 30 times in a row and you record it, I really don't think that if you execute the strategy correctly, you'll actually lose money. And I think that deep down, a lot of traders who have been in the game have probably recognize this. Unfortunately, and it's something that I actually struggled with myself. And it wasn't until I actually stuck to the same strategy for maybe a year or so, after strategy hopping and doing all that, that most people do. That was when I started to really find consistency.
I understand this point of view. But a lot of traders are, yeah, maybe they're building a strategy and they stick to that strategy. But like you said, sometimes that specific model that they trade goes into a losing streak and they get frustrated, and then they change their trading style. But there are some models that, let's say, you're trading with a model and then you're trading in January. So didn't happen for you, a lot of losing streaks. So you quit trading for the month and then you started waiting for your strategy. 1 month goes by, 2 months goes by, it doesn't come back. And then
Mm,
only 1 or 2 months in a year, your model appears. So there's this anticipation, there's this rush, there's this feeling of inadequacy in trading. Like they feel like they can't catch up with other traders who are currently making money.
yeah.
And how should they actually get over this feeling and then keep moving?
I think, yeah, you do need to cut out, the distractions. Actually today, funnily enough, I was watching a YouTube video of a trader making $40,000 in one trade in one day, kind of thing. And I definitely think that impacted my performance today, and it almost made me make some bad decisions. Holding trades longer than I should have, trying to get greedy. So at the end of the day, you just always got to be vigilant. It's not like you just need to be disciplined. And when you come to the charts, it's not a game. As soon as you lose your focus for a split second, you could lose it all.
Oh, I understand that actually. It's just maybe be mindful about what you're doing. And like you said, if you are not a patient person, just practice some patience and then get back to the charts. It's crazy. But in order for a trader to do that, one should know himself or herself quite well, because it's a hard thing to maintain. If we think about in a psychological point of view. So thank you for what you have shared. It's really it's clicked some lights in my brain. So I
Cool.
hope
I'm
it did
glad
the
to have
same
helped.
with our viewers as well. Thank you, Christian, for joining this interview. I enjoyed it a lot, and I'm sure our viewers have learned a lot from you as well. Before we conclude, do you have any last words to people who are watching you right now?
Just don't give up. If it is something that you really want, just keep showing up. And I used to think that I was the kind of person who, I'd see other people trading, understanding, technical analysis far better than what I did, and I'd always wonder, like, am I smart enough to do this? Will I ever really get it? But I truly think that if you show up enough, you look at the charts enough, you study enough, you backtest enough, eventually, I think it's inevitable that your brain will pick it up. You know what I mean? So that's I hope that people can take that on board.
Crazy. Thank you, Chris, for anything that you have shared with us today and the value you have brought into our channel. And maybe I see you in another interview. Maybe you get a hot seat in Funding Pips, and I'm sure that interview will be fun as well. So take care of yourself, and I hope to see you again.
Cool. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone, for watching this interview, and I'll see you guys on the next one.
See you guys.